It really is pretty amazing when you think about it. The body's own power to heal, to regenerate itself.
Absolutely. Down to the very foundation, we've got these mechanisms built right in.
And stem cells are like right at the heart of that, aren't
They
they?
really are the key players.
So if you're listening, you're probably like us, always curious about how to, optimize your health, feel your best.
Definitely. Looking for those smart strategies.
So that's our mission today. We're doing a deep dive into 7 natural ways our source material suggests might help boost your body's own stem cell production.
And we've done the sifting for you, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to pull out the core insights.
Exactly. No need to fall down endless internet rabbit holes. Think of this as the express lane to some potential aha moments.
Yeah, hopefully some useful takeaways.
It wasn't so long ago that stem cell stuff felt really exclusive, like only for the super wealthy or elite athletes getting IVs.
Right. Very high-tech, very expensive interventions.
But what's cool here is the source points to these natural methods, things that are potentially accessible to, well, pretty much anyone, tapping into that power you already have.
It's a shift, isn't it? From looking outside to really leveraging what our bodies can inherently do. These natural approaches make it much more empowering for you listening.
Totally. Okay, let's jump in. First one up, coffee fruit extract.
Okay.
Now, first thing, the source makes clear this doesn't taste like your morning cup of joe at all.
Good to know. So managing expectations there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what it maybe lacks in familiar taste, it apparently makes up for in antioxidants, like significantly more than regular coffee, green tea, even blueberries.
Wow, that's a high bar. Blueberries are usually the benchmark.
Right. But here's the really interesting part. The source says it's one of the few things known to increase pluripotent stem cells.
Ah, pluripotent. Okay, so maybe break that down a bit.
Yeah, it's a sciencey term, but think of them as the ultimate master cells, the blank slates. They can become almost any kind of tissue your body needs.
That's the key, isn't it? That incredible flexibility. They're foundational.
And this is important, right? Because there used to be all that controversy around where stem cells came from.
Exactly. Ethical concerns about sourcing from, umbilical cords or fetal tissue. This natural approach completely bypasses that by working with your body's own supply.
Right. And there's more. This coffee fruit extract also seems to boost something called neurotrophin.
Neurotrophin. Oh.
It's a type of brain hormone. It helps generate new neurons, new brain cells.
Ah, neurogenesis.
Yeah.
Creating new brain cells.
So think about that combo. Potentially more master stem cells and encouraging new brain cell growth. That sounds pretty powerful for long-term brain health.
It really does. It challenges that whole idea that memory decline is just, inevitable as we get older. Maybe we have more influence than we thought.
Our source definitely pushes back on that assumption.
And you mentioned sirtuins earlier, too.
Oh yeah, the source connects it to activating sirtuins, which are kind of like cellular maintenance crew. They help slow down aging at the cell level, reduce oxidative stress.
Like cellular rust, yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping things running
Well,
cleanly.
and apparently just 4 weeks of taking this showed antioxidant effects in studies.
That's relatively quick.
And good news, if you do intermittent fasting, the source says it won't break your fast.
Okay, that's a practical point for many people.
Okay, moving to number 2, algae. Specifically, spirulina and chlorella.
Right, the green stuff.
The source positions algae and phytoplankton as the absolute base of the marine food chain. And get this, potentially up to 1,000 times more nutrient dense than many vegetables.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's staggering. Especially when you hear concerns about mineral depletion in soils affecting land vegetables.
Exactly. It really makes you think about food sources differently.
It highlights the sheer concentration of nutrients in these tiny organisms.
So spirulina and chlorella are the big players here, both super rich in chlorophyll, the green pigment.
Makes sense.
And here's a wild bit from the source. Chlorophyll in your blood plus sunlight might actually help generate ATP, cellular energy, without food.
Okay, that sounds almost like science fiction. Generating energy from light.
I know, it was a surprising detail. But back to stem cells. Chlorella, specifically, has shown up in human studies, in vivo studies, for increasing stem cell mobilization.
Mobilization, so getting the stem cells moving.
Yeah, exactly. If you have damage somewhere, the stem cells need to travel there to work. Chlorella seems to help them get moving, get to the site of injury.
And the fact that it's shown in human studies in vivo, that adds real weight. It's not just in a petri dish.
Definitely. Then there's spirulina. Its strength seems to be in helping inhibit inflammation, especially in the brain.
Oh, interesting. Neuroinflammation is a big topic.
Yeah, particularly in the hippocampus, crucial for memory and new neuron formation. Again, challenging that old no new brain cells idea.
Right, the dogma is shifting there.
So if you're thinking of trying these, the source suggests supplements are usually the way to go for potency.
Makes sense for concentration.
But a heads up, bioavailability matters. How well your body actually absorbs it. Not all supplements are equal.
That's a critical point for any supplement, really. Quality and formulation make a huge difference. Just because the ingredient is good doesn't mean the product delivers it effectively.
Like the vitamin C powder example they gave, high dose, doesn't always mean high absorption. Something to keep in mind when you're choosing.
Good advice.
All right, number 3. Back to the ocean. Marine phytoplankton.
Okay. Even smaller than algae, right? Microscopic plants.
Yeah, and their role is just massive. The source says they produce something like 90% of Earth's oxygen.
90%. More than all the trees combined. That's incredible.
Isn't it? And while there are tons of types, specific ones are highlighted as being great for human health.
Because they're packed with nutrients at that primary level.
Exactly. Rich in EPA and DHA, omega-3 is vital for brain function, neuronal health.
The good fats. Essential.
Plus, all the essential amino acids, the building blocks for muscle,
Sure.
and carotenoids.
Carotenoids. Antioxidants, but also gene regulation.
Yeah, the source mentions they might play a role in how genes are expressed, potentially helping prevent certain genetic diseases from switching on.
That's fascinating. Gene expression is such a key area.
The specific types the source calls out are nano and tetra. Choosing supplements with these means you're getting like top quality raw materials for your cells.
So looking for those specific strains might be important for targeted benefits.
Now, if you're hearing about marine phytoplankton for the first time, you're probably not alone.
It's not exactly a household name yet.
But based on this, sounds like it could be a really valuable thing to look into for overall health.
It's like tapping into the very foundation of the food chain for those core nutrients. Concentrated goodness.
Okay, number 4, aloe vera.
Ah, something more familiar.
Definitely rings a bell for most people. Its history of use is huge, like 6,000 years, the source says.
Wow. Traditional uses for wound healing, skin, digestion.
Yeah, burns, hair loss, gut health. And its power seems to come from this mix of vitamins, minerals, and especially these compounds called steroids and phytosterol.
Phytosterol's plant-based compounds.
Right. And these contribute to some pretty serious effects mentioned in the source, like helping destroy cancer cells, fighting free radicals.
And antimicrobial effects, too.
Yeah, apparently certain enzymes in it can break down bacteria.
So a long history of use now being validated by identifying these active components.
But here's the really interesting bit for our topic, the blood sugar connection.
Okay. How does aloe link to blood sugar?
Well, the source cites scientific reviews showing oral aloe intake improving glucose tolerance and lowering blood sugar in diabetic mice. And fast, like within 5 days.
5 days is quick, so potentially relevant for anyone with metabolic concerns like insulin resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the link to stem cells. Apparently, better blood sugar control often leads to more stem cells circulating in your bloodstream.
Ah, okay, so there's an indirect connection there.
Yeah. And conversely, high blood sugar, often linked with aging and insulin resistance, seems to hinder stem cell circulation, makes it harder for them to get around.
That's a crucial insight. Maintaining healthy blood sugar isn't just metabolic, it supports your body's repair crew too.
It really connects the dots differently, doesn't it?
It does. And the source mentioned a theoretical idea about the pancreas.
Yeah, this was fascinating. The idea is that maybe, just maybe, these mobilized stem cells could travel to the pancreas and potentially turn into insulin-producing cells if those have been damaged, like in diabetes.
Okay, that's theoretical, as you say, but very compelling. A potential regenerative pathway.
For sure. So if you want to try aloe, you can get it in juice shots, add it to smoothies, stuff like that.
Easy enough to incorporate.
Just one thing, if you're doing intermittent fasting, the source advises not taking it during your fasting window. It'll likely break the fast.
Good practical tip again. Gotta fit these things into your actual lifestyle.
Number 5.
Colostrum.
Ah, the first milk. Yeah. And the source makes a really big point. This is the only dairy product they'd recommend because it's so unique just in those first few days after birth.
Very different composition from regular milk.
But its benefits for adults aren't new knowledge. The source mentions recognition way back in early Chinese medicine and used by cultures like the Maasai.
That cross-cultural historical recognition is always interesting. Suggests real observable benefits over time.
So what's in it? It's loaded with antimicrobial peptides, compounds that regulate the immune system.
Immunomodulatory stuff, yeah. Helps balance the immune response.
But key for stem cells are these proline-rich polypeptides, or PRPs.
Okay, PRPs, what do they do?
They've been shown to increase the formation of new white blood cells. So, potentially helpful if your white count is low.
Boosting immune cell production.
And get this, colostrum itself actually contains stem cells naturally.
Wow, okay, so it's providing building blocks and potentially delivering stem cells directly.
Seems like it. The source even details a specific supplement combo that was studied for boosting stem cell production in bone marrow.
A specific formula.
Yeah, it included colostrum yeast extract with a warning for people with candida.
Right, yeast extract can be problematic there.
Scutularia, which apparently has anti-anxiety effects.
Interesting side note.
Jujube fruit, algae, and curcumin. This whole mix was shown to increase red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets.
That's quite comprehensive.
Yeah.
A synergistic effect from combining these different natural compounds to target bone marrow production.
Sounds like it. Again, the yeast caution is important, though. Personalization matters.
Absolutely. Always consider individual sensitivities.
Okay, last one. Number 6, intermittent fasting.
A very popular topic these days.
Huge. And the source focuses specifically on OMAD, 1 meal a day, and also longer, prolonged fasts.
So more intense forms of IF.
Yeah. The mechanism discussed is that fasting can increase stem cell formation, partly by reducing IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1.
IGF-1. Okay, that's known for promoting growth, muscle building.
Right. Which is good in some contexts, but the source suggests high levels long-term might negatively impact lifespan.
It's that balance again, isn't it? Growth versus longevity pathways.
Yeah.
Fasting seems to shift that balance.
Exactly. Now here's a key detail from the source. The stem cell increase doesn't really kick in significantly until about 22 hours of fasting.
22 hours. Okay, so shorter fasting windows like 16.8 might not be hitting that specific target.
Apparently not for this stem cell benefit, according to the source. It suggests that for a daily stem cell boost through IF, you'd pretty much need to be doing OMAD, 1 meal a day.
That's a much bigger commitment than shorter daily fasts.
For sure. And obviously, different fasting styles have pros and cons. It's about what's sustainable for you.
Sustainability is always key for long-term health changes.
But if maximizing stem cell production via fasting is the specific goal, the source points towards prolonged fasts. Around 48 hours seems to be where it really ramps up.
48 hours.
Yeah.
So we're talking multi-day fasts for the peak effect.
Yeah. So this information is really important, right? For you to make informed choices about why you might be fasting and what protocol fits that goal.
Absolutely. Tailoring the approach to the desired outcome.
So, there we have it. A real deep dive into 7 natural avenues our source suggests could influence your stem cell activity.
Quite a range of options to consider.
We touched on coffee fruit extract antioxidants, pluripotent cells, neurotrophin,
Algae spirulina and chlorella for blood cells, mobilization, inflammation.
marine phytoplankton, the nutrient powerhouse from the sea,
Aloe vera, that surprising link to blood sugar and stem cell circulation.
colostrum, the immune support, PRPs, and its own stem cell content.
And finally, intermittent fasting, OMAD, or longer fasts, impacting IGF-1 and stem cell generation.
And just a reminder, this is all based on the information we explored from our source material. It's always smart to think critically, see how it might apply to you, maybe do some more digging if something sparks your interest.
Definitely use it as a starting point for your own health journey and considerations.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, thinking about all this. Which of these natural methods, if any, kind of resonates most with where you are right now, with your lifestyle, your health goals?
Yeah.
And maybe what other questions does this bring up for you about this incredible evolving field of stem cell biology, longevity, and just taking charge of your own well-being? Lots to think about.